Whoa, that was new. What up, Soul Squad? I'm your guy, SoulCake, and I'm so sorry that this video took forever to release, but now it's finally ready for your viewing pleasure. Now, before we start, I have some shoutouts to give to two of my very good friends, who you'll be hearing about quite a lot, as they have helped out with some assets for the channel, as well as some updates and my plans for 2024. First, that intro music you just heard was made by Lachlan, who worked really hard on it, and we also did a song together. And this video's amazing thumbnail art was made by Abyssal Owls. Also, you may have seen it before if you watch my streams, but she also created the intro animation as well as tons of other art for me. Both of their socials are going to be in the description, so please go support my amazing friends. They deserve everything and more. As for me, this year I want to try my best to have at least 1 to 2 uploads out per month this year, whether it's video essays, Twitch highlights, mods, or any other form of content. I have a ton of projects planned, and though I have a very busy personal life, I want to do my best to get these fun ideas made into a reality. And your support would make it all the more easier. You can easily help out by subscribing to my YouTube channels, following me on Twitch, where I stream frequently, and who knows, maybe eventually I might even launch a Ko-Fi page to take donations. We'll see. Either way, even the smallest amount of support means so much and goes a long way. It truly does mean the world to me. Alright, all that aside, I hope you have a wonderful day. Enjoy the video. Sonic the Hedgehog has a very long and tremendous line of video games, each with their own unique things to offer. With an amazing 2023 finally being wrapped up for the Blue Blur, and no other games currently on the radar, I figured it's finally time to count my picks for what I believe to be my top 10 Sonic games. For this list, I'm considering nearly everything in the franchise, aside from the racing games, as those will be getting a video and list of their own. Picking my absolute favorites among such a vast library of games was extremely difficult for me, especially when it comes to Sonic, because there's just so many games and so many different styles of play that the Sonic series is known for. As much as I'd love to include as many games as possible here, it's time for me to really hunker down and pick my absolute favorites. Before we begin, remember that these are just my own opinions at the end of the day, and it's completely okay to disagree. That being said, let's get right into it. Kicking off our list at number 10, we have Sonic the Hedgehog 2. This is one of the first classic Sonic games that I've ever played. It sees the introduction of Super Sonic, as well as Tails, who happens to be one of my favorite Sonic characters. I'd usually play as Tails because I was able to fly over mostly everything. He's amazing for beginners. The zones in Sonic 2 are some of my favorites, and are also a huge step up from the first game as far as level design goes. They excellently accommodate Sonic's speed and Tails' flight while also being a blast to explore and speed through. Exploration especially, since that's how you'll be accessing the special stages, which, speaking of, are also really fun. Some may take a couple of tries, but it always feels nice once you have it down. And once you have that super form, you'll be hanging on to the other side. Overall, Sonic 2 has a great balance of speed, style, and grace. For the mighty number 9 on my list, I'm going with Sonic Adventure. Sonic's first full foray into 3D was by no means as rough as some folks make it out to be. It is not without its faults, but I think SA1 still withstands the test of time. Sonic and Tails' campaigns have always been very fun for me to play through, especially Tails'. Knuckles' emerald levels are also very straightforward and to the point, especially since you can hunt for any emerald shard of your choosing. Amy's campaign is also very nice to go through for something short and sweet, and so are even Big and Gamma's campaigns. Every character controls wonderfully when exploring Station Square and the Mystic Ruins, as well as during the action stages. All in all, this game still holds up extremely well for my likes. I really do like that most of these campaigns are very short and not so sporadic. You pick a character and you stick with them and make some friends along the way. It really is, at its core, a Sonic adventure. Stealing the show at the number 8 spot is Sonic Dream Team. We need way more Sonic games like this one. It's very similar to Sonic Lost World, where it really thrives in its own unique movement system, kind of like how Flow Motion makes Kingdom Hearts Dream Drop Distance a really fun game. Yes, I went there. Sonic Dream Team plays amazing with the controller and is equally exhilarating on a phone. The character animations are phenomenal, Cream is back, and it's overall a dream come true with a whopping 6 playable characters, with 3 pairs of them each wielding a unique ability. The music is neat, not entirely what you'd look for in a Sonic game, but it works for the context of the story since you're going through a dream world. With the announcement of more content among other things, this game shows just a handful of what Sega Hardlight is capable of, and I really hope they make more amazing games like this one. Go Hardlight! The lucky number 7 on the list is going to be Sonic Rush. One of the things that the Sonic series is exceptionally well known for is its amazing line of music. Sonic Rush is no exception. Hideki Naganuma, best known for his work on Jet Set Radio, popped off when making this game's soundtrack and then completely dipped. Of course, this game also saw the introduction of Blaze the Cat and the Soul Dimension, and I know you people like that cat, and I don't blame you at all! If we're being super technical, this game also saw the introduction of the boost, and it does still have a bit of quirks such as its boss battles being a tad bit divisive, so it doesn't stop me coming back for more. Rush has this really funky aesthetic poured into its art style, levels, and music, and I think that's where the magic of this game truly lies. Though not as memorable as its predecessor, Rush Adventure is also a really fun time. Hopefully, we'll see Blaze back in the spotlight with a game of her own again at some point.
Should we try this again?
Number 6 on the list is going to Sonic the Hedgehog 3 and Knuckles. Easily one of the best titles in the classic series, it takes the best parts of Sonic 1, 2, and CD and turns it into something incredible. This entry sees the introduction of everyone's favorite and gullible Red Echidna, who has the ability to glide and climb walls. This was also the first classic game to introduce alternate paths and levels for different characters, and I think this one did it extremely well. Blue Spheres also saw its debut, which is a really fun rendition of the special stages. It's a hyper and unique kind of Sonic game for its time, and unless you really want those Michael Jackson tracks, I think Sonic Origins is a very excellent way to experience the game in full widescreen. Just don't come knocking for this bad boy. Taking number 5 on my list is Sonic Colors. God, I love this game. Keeping the boost formula of Sonic Unleashed, Sonic Colors has what every great Sonic game should have. Vibrant and dazzling zones, fun levels, banger soundtracks, plural by the way, there are 2 of them, so much good stuff. Come on, y'all saw this one coming. The Wisps especially are really fun to use, the levels are begging for speedruns, and you can even play local co-op with a friend in Game Land. The DS version is also great, acting as a Rush 3 of sorts. Playing through Sonic Colors Ultimate reminded me of why I love this game as much as I do, if not more than ever before, and even offered newer things, like custom boost trails, auras, shoes, and gloves. I really liked it. Sure, the launch of the remaster was a little bit of a bump in the road, but it did nothing to stop me from having a good time with the game. If you watched my video on why I love Sonic Colors, then you'll know why it's on here and why it's this high up. In my eyes, Sonic Colors has remained on top as one of the best entries in the entire series, and that'll likely be the case for generations to come. Speaking of which, boy do we need to talk about Sonic Generations, and why it's taking the number 4 spot on my list. This is a game that celebrates Sonic the Hedgehog in more ways than one. No, literally, there's 2 of them. This game brings back signature locations from past Sonic games, each with modern and classic twists and turns. Mastering each of the levels is satisfying each and every time, and the challenges put an interesting spin on each of the level assets used for the core play. It's no surprise to why this game is so highly regarded, as it essentially takes the great elements from the new modern formula while providing tons of fresh new experiences of the classic formula. I also have a plentiful amount of hours on the 3DS version of the game, from tons of car rides when I was younger, and I'd still like that version too. All in all, Generations is great. Ever since its PC release to this day, the game still has tons of modding support. Whether or not that's your cup of tea is up to you. That aside, I will always recommend this game to those who are looking to get into the series, because it is a perfect starting point in terms of its gameplay alone. No matter how many times I replay it, Generations is always an absolute blast from the past. If Sonic Generations is a celebration of Sonic, then Sonic Mania is an absolute fiesta. Taking a well-deserved spot at number 3 on the list, Mania goes above and beyond and was made purely out of love for this silly blue Needle Mouse. Christian Whitehead, Stealth, T-Lopes, Tyson Hess, and so many more big names are on the front lines for developing this game, and everything else that came with it. The gameplay is the most amazing that it's ever been for a classic title, and Sonic also received the Drop Dash as his new air ability, vastly increasing his movement potential. Dare I mention the music and the pixel art of this game, because golly, is it amazing. Mania also features the most fun version of a special stage that I've ever played in a Sonic game, and they even brought back Mighty and Ray as playable characters in the Plus expansion a year later, which was wild at the time. I desperately needed a Sonic Mania 2, where all the zones are just completely new, because the original zones in Sonic Mania were easily the highlight for me. Superstars comes close and is a fun time, but we're almost there. For the time being, follow me to the second to last game on the list. Have you ever heard of a wake-up call? Look no further than Sonic Frontiers, taking the number 2 spot on my list. Sonic Frontiers is a reminder that Sonic Team is still capable of creating amazing and unimaginable experiences. I love all the aspects of this game. The exploration, the combat, and even the cyberspace levels and their speedrunning potential. Sure, some of the open zones were originally going to be much bigger, but it doesn't stop the game from having plenty of exploration opportunities and shining moments, and boy, does this game have the highest of highs in a Sonic game, because those Titan fights, man. The music in those Titan fights, dude. The Supersonic Titan fights are without a doubt the best boss fights to ever grace a Sonic game. Not to mention, the game has gotten significantly better now that all of the content updates have finally been released. Ian Flynn being behind the writing was an absolute joy, considering how much he's done in the IDW series, and even Archie. He's got a long way to go, but I have a good feeling that he and Sega are going to push this formula to even higher limits down the road. There's so many amazing Sonic games out there. So many that couldn't even make this list. But there is only one game that outdoes them all. And no, it's not Sonic Forces. Resting on the ultimate throne, with spot number 1 on my list, is Sonic Unleashed. This game is what got me into Sonic. This game is the reason I became a Sonic fan. And this game is very easily one of my favorite games of all time. Replaying this on an Xbox Series X at 60 frames per second remind me of why all that is. The game features one of my favorite stories, and Jason Griffith's performance was easily one of his finest here. Whenever I think of Sonic, this is who I think of. The dude went off so hard that he nearly passed out in the studio when he was recording lines for the Werehog. If that isn't dedication, then I don't know what is. The daytime stages are the best levels that we've gone in a modern Sonic game. Every move and shortcut is rewarding to pull off. This is the Sonic game where you really get to experience just how fast this guy is. And on the other hand, we have the Werehog, a make or break for a lot of people, understandably. Personally, I really like it in both versions, because once you understand how to utilize his combos and all his resources correctly, you're gonna have a good time. 7-year-old me thought the Werehog was cool. Has that changed? Not at all. And when I said 2 versions, I was of course referring to Sonic Unleashed. Let's not forget about that one. While still an inferior version of the game, it still has really well crafted levels as well as an interesting spin on the worlds. Even action chains are ridiculously fun to pull off. Replaying Unleashed in 60 FPS has only made me love the game even more than ever before. After 15 years of being released, it still sits at one of the best in the series. So here's to 15 more. And that concludes our list. That's a wrap! Thank you so much for watching. Do you agree with my picks? What are your top 10 favorite Sonic games? Let me know in the comments down below. If you like this video, remember to hit the like button and subscribe for more. Until next time, bye bye!